Philippians 3 and 7. I once thought these things were valuable, but now I consider them worthless because of what a Mashiach has done. Yes, everything else is worthless when compared with the infinite value of knowing a Mashiach, Yahawashi, my Lord. For his sake, I have discarded everything else, counting it all as garbage so that I could gain a Mashiach. I'd like to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule well. Peace, blessing, and safety to all the hopeful elect out there scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. This is the brother Hadabiar from the GMS Toronto camp, coming back at you with another one. And this video was inspired by, there's that video going around about the apostles saying, fuck your, I don't know if they said fuck, but they said, forget your wife or your kids, yeah, just basically throwing what they said out of context, like making it seem like, over here at Great Millstone, we are taught to not give a care in the world for our family, for our women, for our children, when that's never been taught. If things are gonna get in the way of you serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, then you need, then it needs to be removed. Yes, we have family. Yes, we have, children, women. We love and care about these people, but serving Yahweh Bashem Yahushai has to come first. And when you're under that mindset, you realize that everything else doesn't really matter. That woman that you have doesn't matter. The child that you have doesn't matter, because this place is not our rest at the end of the day. So if we cannot obtain salvation, then what does any of this matter to? What does any of this have any? None of this has any value. What? How? It's and that's why it says in this precept. Yes, everything is worthless when compared to the infinite value of knowing Hamashiach, Yahawashi, my Lord. Because that's what it's all about. That's the only way. That's the only way out of this place. That's the only way out of this place is to serve Yahawashi, and to understand that He is above everything. Because only through Him can we gain salvation. The Lord has the Lord. The Lord is the one who blessed you with that woman. With that child. This all comes from our Heavenly Father. So we cannot put anything above serving Him. And only if the Lord is dealing with you, you'll understand that. Because when what's his name, Alazar, whatever, was playing, was looping the video of what the apostles were saying, if you're in your right mind, you're laughing at that, because that's not what our apostles mean. Here they are trying to demonize. Basically they're trying to demonize our teachers. And by them doing that, they're trying to do the same unto Yahawashi. Because those men, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Tahar, those are men of Yahawashi, of Yahawashi Yahawashi. Best believe it. And these niggas are trying to manipulate what they're saying, making it seem like, just starting confusion. But when you're in this truth, when you're in this walk, you understand that nothing can come before Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. It's a thing of balance, you know. It's a thing of balance, and all the brothers, all the sincere brothers know what it's like, you know what it's like. I've gone through it, you know. I've gone through it. I know what it feels like to have your child used against you. Have a woman come against you and make it seem like you doing wrong for wanting to serve the Lord. You know? And if that's the case, then then you need to put those things, those things need to be, the Lord will make it so that those things will be removed, and you can continue to serve him. Get this precept next. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is a Mashiach. So that's that's who we focus on. Is Yahawashi, and at the head of a woman is the man. So our women, we're supposed to be, they're they're everything. They're supposed to look up to us. We look up to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, and our women are to look up to us. There's an order to everything. There's an order to everything. And if you understand that order, you won't be offended when it was said that, if you got to leave that woman, if you got to forget about them kids, it makes sense because that there's an order to everything. These niggas in this world, they don't understand that order. If you're gonna serve Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, it comes with a cost. That cost may be your family, maybe your woman, your job. There's gonna be a time when we're all gonna have to give up everything. Give up everything give up everything for the hope that Yahweh Shah will have mercy and deliver us. So this is Luke 9 in the NLT. Start at verse 57. You see the heading. The cost of following Yahweh Shai. As they were walking along, someone said to Yahweh Shai, I will follow you wherever you go. But Yahweh Shai replied, foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests, but the Son of Man has no place even to lay his head. He said to another person, come, follow me. The man agreed, but he said, Lord, first let me return home to bury my father. But Yahawashi told them, let the spiritually dead bury their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach about the kingdom of the Most High. So, people, in other words, our duty is to serve the Lord. Yes, there's times where we have to take care of things, but those things have to be put away. Serving the Lord has to come first. A serious judgment is getting ready to happen here on earth. the time of Jacob's trouble is no joke. And the only way to be protected in that time is through the spirit of Yahawashi. You know, your woman, our children, that job, your money is no protection in that day. That's why now during this grace period, you put everything, it's like you put nothing above serving Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. That comes first. Verse 61, another said, Lord, I will follow you, but let me say goodbye to my family. You know? But Yahawashi told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow that looks back is not fit for the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So you do this work, you know. Once you start to do this work, you gotta keep going. You gotta keep moving forward. Your family cannot be used as an excuse to not serve the Lord. You know, your job cannot be used as an excuse. That woman cannot be using an excuse to serve the Lord. You know, and the woman in today will make you feel guilty for doing so. You know, because I've had that. They'll make you feel guilty for try to make you feel guilty because you know it doesn't work. You know, sometimes it fucks with our emotions more so when they try to bring your children against you. But you know they try to make you feel bad for always going to camp. You know, Saturdays, you know, prior to coming into the truth, you know, Saturday, especially Saturday, you know, whatever, Saturday evening, Saturday during the day, you know, used to be a time where was used to do, you know, family things, you know, do family things on a Saturday, then, you know, and then Sunday, you know, still a weekend. And, you know, once you get into this truth, that time was, that time slot was strictly for serving the Lord, going to camp, you know. And a woman will make you feel guilty. They'll try to make you feel guilty, you know. Or you're not, you know. You know, the mother of my child used to always, you know, try to come up against me because I wanted to go to camp. You know, I didn't want to be home. I didn't want to be home, you know, during Saturdays, you know. And even prior to finding the brothers here in Toronto, you know, I was locked in. You know, I'd watch the live, you know, whether I was home or out and about. I had the earpiece in my ear watching the live. You know, the Lord blessed it where I was able to you know, fellowship with those brothers and eventually be part of the camp, you know. Before that, you know, before being part of the camp, I was able to, you know, actually go to camp, you know, and just be there, listening to the men, the prophets speak, you know. And you know that it went, you know, it's routine, you know. It just becomes routine, you know. Even now, you know, family, you know, outside, you know, friends of this world will always try to, you know, do things, and you know, they know. Don't ask me to do nothing during that time because you know it's gonna be a no. So, you know, I say that because you know doing this work is important. You know, doing the work of Yahweh Shemi Ashai is very important. You know, it's no joking matter, and like I said, yes, there's a time of balance. Yes, things are gonna come up. You know, we're not perfect. You know, yeah, you know, yes, sometimes you might miss camp. Yes, sometimes you might miss a day on doing a video. You know, but that's where you just have to pray for the Lord's mercy. You know, and understand that and the Lord knows those who are sincere at the end of the day. He knows those who are sincere and truly believe in Him and want to serve him, with fear and trembling, you know. And that's the thing with these Genesis guys, or these ex Sakari members. Here they want to chime in on these old videos of our apostles, but they're not doing the work. They took their hand off the plow. You know, they're involved in scandals. You know, yeah, they've been violated. So, their word means shit. When I was watching that video, I was just like, yo, these guys are a joke thing. To think anyone would take what they have to say for any type of value. You know, we here at Great Millstone, we love our apostles, and we believe in the doctrine that they're pushing, because it's the 100% doctrine through the spirit of Yahawashi. So these niggas could say whatever the hell they want, because it has no effect. It has no effect on us. We know what it. We understand what it's gonna take in order to serve the Lord. This is Mark 10, verse 28. Then Peter began to say unto him, Lo, we have left all, and have followed thee. And Yahawashi answered and said, Verily I say unto you, there is no man that hath left house, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my sake and the gospel's, but he shall receiveth 100-fold now in this time, houses and brothers and sisters and mothers and children and lands, with persecuous, and in the world to come eternal life. So, if we have to lose women on this side, if we have to lose our children on this side, if we have to lose that job, that home, whatever it is, if we have to lose it in this walk with serving, in this walk to serve Yahawashi, we understand that we're gonna gain that much more in the kingdom. We're gonna gain eternal life. We're gonna forever be perfect, because everything on this side is worthless. It has no meaning. We can't save our. We can't save. We can't even save ourselves, much less, save our child or a woman or our household. That's why we do this work. We do this work and in hopes that we will be saved, that the Lord will have mercy upon us, that we may be of the hopeful elect, and in doing so, that the Lord may have mercy on our household. That's why we do this work. That's why when the mother of my child used to try to use my child against me, what always gave me comfort is that, he's young, he may not understand why it is that, that his father is always going away to do the work of the Lord. But one day he will. One day he will understand, Lord willing, I make it. He'll understand that this is what daddy had to do in order, for him to be saved, because, we serve the Lord, and we love our children, We love our children. It's not like we don't care for them. It's not like we don't take care of them. You know, but we know that we not even we can't even save them. Only Yahawashi can. So that's why we give it our all in hopes that the Lord will have mercy upon us. You know, and then of our household. So that's how we do the work. That's how we gotta do the work. And you gotta be prepared to lose it all. And the Lord is saying, don't worry. You know, you give up these things to follow me. You give up these things to serve me. You're gonna receive that much more. It's a promise. You know. His words mean something. This is Luke 14 in the NLT, starting at verse 25. A large crowd was following Yahawashi. He turned around and said to them, "If you want to be my disciple, you must by comprehension hate everyone else, your father, your mother, your wife, and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. And if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple." So, back to my, first precept, having that mindset that, everything is worthless. You gotta hate this place. You gotta hate this place, and you gotta be willing to put Yahawashi above everything else. You gotta be able to put Yahawashi above your family. And then you gotta bear your cross. You gotta sacrifice. There's sacrifices have to be made. Yahawashi was that sacrifice. He was a sacrifice upon that cross. So we have to do the same. We have to sacrifice our we have to sacrifice our family, our job, the cares of this life, the cares of this world. We got to sacrifice it and follow him. If you do not carry your own Christ, if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. But don't begin until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? So if you're gonna carry that cross, you got to understand what you're involved in. You got to understand what it's gonna take in order to finish. Like putting your hand to the plow. You can't start and then bow out. You got to keep going. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep moving forward. So, these Genesis dudes, Sakari dudes, Gorilla Hebrew, whatever, when they try to spin this narrative of what our apostles are saying, if you're in your right mind, that have no effect on you. That ultimately you got to understand what you're involved in, and you got to be in that. You got to be in that mindset to that you're gonna have to lose everything. But it's okay. It's okay to lose everything on this side. Fuck this side. It's all corrupted anyways. It's better to lose it on this side and gain it for eternity in the kingdom. So that's going to do it for this video. I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahawashi, Ba'Hashem, Rechak Wadash. And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and peace, blessing, and safety to all the hopeful elect out there scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. I pray this lesson was edifying.